Welcome back from that short break. Kingsley is here with me this morning as we take a look at some of these interesting stories for you. Kingsley, good morning and welcome to Sport Talk.
Mike, thank you very much for having me. Nice to be here this morning.
All right, so let's start from the home scene because wicket keeper Suleiman Sunrewe will assume the leadership position of Nigeria's male senior cricket team, the Yellow Greens, when they begin their title defense at the West African Trophy in Abuja. Head coach and high performance manager of the Nigerian Cricket Federation, Steve Tikolo, named his 14-man squad with captain Sylvester Okpe, allowing Runsewe to take the lead, just as the Kenyan coach included a few faces as well. Joining Runsewe for what promises to be the highly competitive regional showdown are players like Salim Salau, Ali Ramon, Daniel Ajekun, and Danladi Isaac. Also included are the Okpe brothers, Sylvester and Isaac Okpe, both of whom brings a proven international experience to the squad, giving Nigeria's balance in both batting and bowling departments. Yellow Greens won the first edition with an unbeaten record, sealing a pulsating 18-run victory over resilient Rwanda side in the final at the Tafawa Balewa Cricket Oval in Lagos in 2023. Kingsley, can the Yellow Greens defend the title 2 years ago successfully?
We'll just keep our fingers crossed and see if they can do it. Of course, we've seen some level of consistency, of course, in them. We'll just see if maybe they can get the job done this time around. We've been talking about the female Yellow Greens, when it has to do with cricket down here in Nigeria. I think when you talk about cricket, they've been, a bit consistent. And I believe with what, of course, we've seen on ground, as well as how cricket, of course, has evolved in the past 2 or 3 years in Nigeria, of course, it's a huge statement of intent that they can go all the way to get the job done, as it stands. So let's just keep our fingers crossed. But it's going to be a very huge task for them. But for what we're seeing, we just have to, of course, be hopeful that maybe they can go up there and be able to put up a very, very impressive performance at the end of the day.
Still talking about the female Yellow Green, are you surprised that Suleiman was picked as a captain of the team ahead of the experienced Okwe brothers and even Danladi?
I think probably maybe the coach have probably seen something special about him, this time around. Of course, you talk about experience, and form, as it stands. He could take a look at his current form as well. Could be, maybe one of the things that actually propelled the coach, of course, to actually pick him up as the captain, or pick up as the captain this time around. So for me, I think it's all about what the player can offer. All right, if they can, of course, put up a very impressive performance, of course, we have to go with the best. I think whatever it is, the coach knows what is best, and I believe at the end of the day, we'll see what comes up. So let's not just bother about who is actually being picked ahead of this one. Let's just have that unity, that mindset that, of course, we can go up there and be able to get the job done.
All right, we'll see how this one will go, but we believe that the cricket team of Nigeria, the female Yellow Green, will do their best to ensure that they defend the title they won it 2 years ago successfully. The coach has also marshaled out 14 players that is going to vie for honor in this particular one. But the most surprising is about the twerking, the leadership role of the team, where Suleiman has been picked as the captain of the team ahead of other experienced players. But then some have said it's about experience, it's about leadership quality. You might have been a long while in the national team, but then leadership comes with different skills and techniques. So that shouldn't be a worry at all. Let's talk table tennis on the show, because the popularity of table tennis among young people across Africa continues to rise, as this year's African Youth Game in Angola recorded a historic turnout The 2025 edition will take place from December 10 to 20th in Luanda and other Angolan cities, featuring around 33 sports across 6 host cities. More than 30 countries have confirmed participation in the Continental Youth Sport Fiesta, marking the largest entry in the event's history. From the 14 nations that featured in the maiden edition in Morocco in 2010 to 2014, Botswana in 2014 and 2025, and 25 in Angola in 2018. The 2025 edition in Angola has surpassed expectations with several countries making their debuts. The African Youth Games is a major multi-sport competition for athletes aged 14 to 17. Meanwhile, President of the ITTF Africa, Wahid Oshodi, hailed the developments as a milestone for the sport. Among the nations listed for the 2025 African Youth Games are Angola, Burundi, Benin Republic, Botswana, Chad, Cameroon, Ivory Coast, Djibouti, Egypt, Ethiopia, Ghana, Guinea, Kenya, Liberia, Lesotho, Madagascar, Malawi, Mauritius, Namibia, Nigeria, South Africa, Rwanda, Senegal, Seychelles, Tanzania, Uganda, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and of course the host country, which is Angola. Kingsley, table tennis in Africa is gaining ground, and as we are having more participating nations take part in this year's African Youth Games in the table tennis event. But then that is not the issue. The issue here is that over the course of the years, more than 5 years right now, we haven't seen any African table tennis player make up the top 10 ranking in the world. It has been the South Koreans or the Chinese. Can Africa take it a notch higher this time around? That it seems as though they are taking more interest in table tennis.
I think we can. When you take a look at the way Egyptians, of course, they put up things, and of course you take a look at some other African countries as well. You will see, especially the North Africans, you will say we have what it takes. Even Tunisia as well, they are one of those top table tennis countries that here in Africa that can also put up a very impressive performance. I understand the Asians, they've actually dominated table tennis, but I think Africa, we can see, of course, push things right, to maybe be at the top 10 at the going forward in the competition. So I still believe we still have what it takes. We have the likes of Haruna Quadrito, who understand that he has not been that fantastic. Omar Sarr, of Egypt as well, is one man that has been so fantastic over time. So I still believe if maybe we can, of course, put things right here in Africa. I understand when we talk about here in Nigeria, we lack the best of facilities. We don't even give enormous support to our table tennis players, and that's why you see them not putting up high level of performance when they go out for competition. But if you can look at the North Africans, I think they are also trying as well, and we just hope that the players will live up to expectation and try to make sure that they get maybe to the top 10 or for the rankings at the end of the day. So it's just a matter of time and dedication, focus and much attention, of course, being paid to the sports. Definitely, of course, we'll get there. So let's just keep our fingers crossed and hope that our players will, of course, live up to expectation in different competitions, and then, of course, look forward to see them being at the top.
Let's talk boxing on the show this morning as Terence Crawford has been stripped off his title despite his stunning win over Canelo Alvarez earlier this year. The WBC announced the decision after Crawford failed to pay sanctioning fees for his last 2 fights, ending his brief reign as undisputed champion at 168 pounds. The vacant title will now be contested by interim champion Christian Mbili and Hamza Sheraz. Lasta Martinez has been named the #1 contender. Crawford's future remains uncertain, especially after a planned path to a middleweight unification fight collapsed when Zanibek Alim Kanuli withdrew due to failed drug tests. What could have been the case with one who was holding the middleweight WBC title? After winning 2 fights, you racked up some money from the fight, then you refused to pay your fees. And this has cost him a lot. Now he has been dethroned from that title. This is, professional error, you might want to say?
Definitely. Professional error. You know what is at stake. You know what you're supposed to do. You don't do it. So how do you expect not to be in trouble at this point in time?
So for me, I think was not a good one, from him. He would have, of course, used the money to do what is expected of him in order for him, of course, to continue to be in the good books, of for people and as well as the organizers of, the game. So for me, I think it wasn't a good one, as it stands. This is what, of course, we'll be talking about, for athletes. Whatever you're supposed to do it. Do not allow until when you get into trouble, you now start raising alarm mode, this, that, and all of that. So they are supposed to be on their toes and make sure that they have to do whatever would not put them in trouble. For me, I think this is a huge mess, for him.
Huge mess for him after winning 2 fights. Yes, he was reigning supreme in that division, but then because of the failure to pay his fees, he has been dethroned from that position. And it's a very costly error, I can tell you that for sure. After making some money, why not take a little and pay your fees? And now, because of that, I call it professional blunder, he has been dethroned. Not a good one at all. Sportsmen and women, especially professionals, should be conversant with these little details regarding their field of endeavor. All right, because of time factor, we are going to dive straight to the world of football this morning because Shooting Stars outclassed Remo Stars 1-0 in a thrilling South-West derby in Ibadan yesterday. Ismaila Ayodele's 36-minute strike separated both teams on the night. Shooting Stars, who are now unbeaten in their last 2 Nigerian Premier Football League matches, moved to 5th position on the log. The Oluyole Warriors, as they are popularly known, have also amassed 23 points from 15 games so far. Elsewhere, Rivers United recorded a 1-0 victory over Kano Pillars at the Adokie Amasemaka Stadium in Port Harcourt. Kingsley Rivers United getting all 3 points because of that solo strike from Bulewaji in Adokie Amasemaka Stadium. They are gradually closing the league leaders right now, and they still have extra 2 games, that are yet to be played. Do you see Rivers United putting away the failure of losing 2 CAF Champions League games in the group stage to focus their attention on the league right now?
I think that should be their focus on the league, because talking about scaling through in the group stage of the CAF Champions League is going to be very, very difficult. After losing 2 games, in that particular group, it will be difficult for Rivers United to scale through. So their attention should be paid. Should be given to the league at this point in time. They actually left it late, I think, as about 80-something minutes. It was still goalless, in that particular encounter. And that's what we've been talking about, Rivers United. A lot of missed chances, and they find it difficult to score goals. I just hope that going forward, they try as much as they can to strengthen the attack to see how far they can start getting the goal. If you don't score, it becomes difficult for you to win games. Or talking about winning the league, at the end, you must win to gather 3 points to make sure you are at the top, at the end of the day. So for me, good one for them, taking all 3 points against Kano Pillars at the Adokie Stadium. The focus now should be what next, at this point in time. How should we be able to fight to make sure at least we win the league? If you couldn't do something, at the CAF Champions League, then your focus should be winning the league. And the expectation for Finidi this season is to win the league. He came in last season, yes, was able to stabilize the team. But this season, I think, for me, it's time for Finidi, of course, to win the league, for Rivers United. He's a manager that has done it before. He did it at Enyimba Football Club. So if he can do it there, it means he can also do it with Rivers United, a side that are also well supported, by the state government. So we'll just look forward to see what comes up. But this time around, I think the attention should be given to the league. Rivers United should be looking forward to win the Nigerian Premier Football League this time around.
Now we talk about Kano Pillars. Their bad form continues as they are rooted at the basement of the table right now with just 9 points after 15 games. Do you see them surviving the relegation scare that seems to be staring them on the face?
I'm scared. Kano Pillars might be relegated, For what we're seeing, it's been back-to-back of poor results, for them. I'm really scared. Ahmed Musa, I tell you, might not really be a happy man, at the moment. If you take a look at it, he might not really have rest of mind because of where Kano Pillars, of course, are after he took over as a manager, of course, of the team. Seated 20th, seated bottom of the league, a whole Kano Pillars. So it's really a disappointing one. And taking a look at the way they are playing, losing every match day is going to be very difficult for what I'm seeing for Kano Pillars, to take themselves away from relegation. They've not been fantastic at all. But I think I think we just played about 13 to 14 or 15 games now. So a lot of games still need to be played. So if we take a look at it, the mission should just be survivor, to just survive relegation this season. That's it for Kano Pillars. Let them forget about finishing well or maybe finishing middle of the table or looking for top four. Winning the league is far from them this time. So the mission should be let's survive relegation this season and see what we can do to better the performance of the team, come next season. It's really been a very poor one. This was not the expectation, from fans. When the season, of course, got started for Kano Pillars. We thought Ahmed Musa coming in, things were going to change. We're going to see Kano Pillars firing from all cylinders. But from what we're seeing, it's really, really disappointing one. So, like I said, the mission should just be let's survive relegation this season and see what, of course, we can do to make sure we stabilize the team come next season.
All right, we see how they can be able to stabilize their season come next time out. But then, still talking the Nigerian Premier Football League, the Oluyole Warriors, they continue to improve on the league table with that, hard-fought victory yesterday, taking all 3 points to take them fifth on the log. Are they among the title contenders this season?
You could say they might be, but it's really going to be a tough one. We'll just see what comes up. I think they've been fantastic from what we're seeing. We'll just hope that they continue in this impressive form. Seated fifth, close to the league leaders, as it stands when it has to do with points. You could say they're one of the title contenders. A lot of games, of course, are still to be played. So you can give them a chance that if they continue to put up this high level of consistency, you expect, something from them. You expect them contending, of course, for the title. So let's just keep our fingers crossed, and see what they bring to the table going forward.
All right, meanwhile, we can tell you that Ikorodu City, yes, they are still at the top of the summit. Yes, talking about the Nigerian Premier Football League. But then there's a close surge, a close pursuit from Rivers United, who won their game because of that lone goal victory yesterday. So they are closing the gap on the league leaders with 2 games in hand. So Rivers United, one of the favorites to win the Nigerian Premier Football League title this season. We just wait and see. But other teams are also not doing bad at all. Nasarawa United, Ikorodu City, Abia Warriors, Shooting Stars. These are some of the teams that are also, jostling to see who reigns supreme at the end of this year's Nigerian Premier Football League season. But then the low side of it is, a household name. Talking about Kano Pillars that seems to be battling relegation at this early stage of the Nigerian Premier Football League. Can they survive? This has been the question since Ahmed Musa took over. It's been a very difficult one for them. But then let's wish them well and see and hope rather to see them bounce back with victories in their subsequent games. But at this point, let's take a quick break. When we are back, we'll continue with the rest of the stories. As Wilfred Ndidi might just be the captain of the Super Eagles in this year's edition of the AFCON. Why? We'll let you know these and many more other stories when we are back. All right, you're welcome back from that short break. Let's continue with the rest of the stories for you this morning as we head straight to the African Cup of Nations as preparations continue from different nations as the hostility is set to kick off in a few days' time. I can tell you that Wilfred Ndidi is expected to become the new captain of the Super Eagles for the 2025 African Cup of Nations in Morocco following William Truss-Ekong's withdrawal and retirement from international football. Ndidi, who previously captained Nigeria during the 2026 World Cup playoff games, is now the team's most senior player at age 28. With 71 caps since his debut in 2015, the former under-17 and under-20 star returns to a leadership role after missing the 2023 African Cup of Nations Cup due to injury. Despite his long international career, he is still yet to score for the Super Eagles. Kingsley, Wilfred Ndidi, look as though the mantle of leadership has fallen upon him as William Truss-Ekong retirement has now made him the officially oldest player in the squad. And you think he has the leadership quality to lead the Super Eagles to the AFCON?
I think he has the quality. When you take a look at it, we saw him wearing the captain armband in the World Cup qualifiers. And I think he didn't disappoint. He actually possessed that leadership quality. So for me, I think Wilfred Ndidi can get the job done, all right? The man has been there for a very long time, all right? So you understand what it means to be a leader of a team. We've seen his leadership quality when he was at Leicester City, even the new club, of course, he is currently. I think he still has that leadership quality as well. So in the Super Eagles of Nigeria, is one man who has been there and he understands everything about the team. So I think for me, Wilfred Ndidi would be a very good captain, if you ask me, for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, because, like I said, he has that leadership quality and you can't take it away, from him. But a lot of expectation from Wilfred Ndidi, especially, in that midfield. We understand, of course, he does his job well, but there are more expectation, from him. He really have to, of course, step up, when it has to do with his game. Now, probably that he might be giving the captain armband, he really have to step up. He really have to, of course, be on his toes. He knows that the burden of the team will be upon him. So he has to make sure that, he carries the team, just like what we saw William Truss-Ekong, of course, did in the last African Cup of Nations. Not only that, how, of course, he has been speaking and also carrying the team at every point in time. So there are a lot of expectation on Wilfred Ndidi, especially, on the pitch. But we talk about the fact that can he carry the team, as a captain. And for me, I think Wilfred Ndidi has that quality of putting up high level of leadership in the Super Eagles team.
When you take a look at it, there are dissenting opinions within some quarters. Leadership in the national team, it goes beyond you having stayed long in the national team. It's about having the truth, the skills, that influence, that command that can distinguish you among the rest players. Some are still making case for Victor Osimhen. They say that he has the charisma because, leadership role is not just about you being old in a team. It's about your charisma, that aura for you to be able to stand bold, and talk to the authority where it matters. Don't you think Victor Osimhen would have been a perfect choice?
It would have been, no doubt about that. All right, no doubt about Osimhen being the captain of the team. But I think Wilfred Ndidi, we talk about leadership, self-control, players management, how to talk to your fellow player, and all of that. I think he has it more than Osimhen. You can remember, was it the World Cup qualifiers or something where Super Eagles had a very poor results? Osimhen was very angry. Even when Victor Boniface ran to go and meet him to maybe talk to him, he actually waved the guy away. But that's not the, good spirit of a captain. All right, so as a captain, you need to have that mindset of managing the pressure, be it in good time and in bad time, and be able to see how, of course, to make the team focus and look forward to something good ahead. But Osimhen, whenever it doesn't go his way, his temperament is not something you can control at some point. I'm not saying it's not good, it's not good to be a captain of the side, but I think when it comes to absorbing pressure, controlling team, speaking with the coach on how to move things forward and all of that, I think Ndidi possessed that a bit than Victor Osimhen. All right, I think for me that's it. So no doubt about that. Osimhen could be a very good captain due to his efforts and how he has been so passionate, and patriotic about the team. But for me, I think if you take a look at it, Wilfred Ndidi is more relaxed, composed, and looks like a player, of course, that could absorb pressure. No matter how bad things are, I think he's one man that can also see, you could see that motivation in him of making the team, of course, go forward. So for me, I think the captain armband best fits Wilfred Ndidi at this point in time.
All right, we hope that he's going to lead the Super Eagles to glory in Morocco as the African Cup of Nations Cup kicks off in just a few days' time. Meanwhile, Tanzania head coach Miguel Gamondi has named the 53-man provisional squad for the 2025 African Cup of Nations. The squad is dominated by players applying their trade in the Tanzanian Premier League. Tanzania's top clubs like Young Africans, Simba SC, Azam FC, and Singida Black Stars contributed the highest number of players. BK Häckens of Sweden star Sabri Kondo, Novatus Miroshi, who plays for Turkish club Giuseppe, and Aalborg BK of Denmark forward Calvin John are some of the foreign-based professionals included in the squad. Gamandi is expected to trim the squad before CAF's final submission deadline date. Meanwhile, the Taifas Stars are drawn in Group C with the Super Eagles, Tunisia, regional rival Uganda, and then we face the Super Eagles of Nigeria in the opening fixtures on Tuesday, 23rd of December. So Tanzania deciding to go for home breed as a bulk of their players is drawn from their club side out there. This is to tell you how well organized their club side are. For them to make up to 80% of their squad drawn from the clubs down there in Tanzania shows that they are one of the top leagues in Africa.
Tanzania, we'll just keep our fingers crossed and see. But the Tanzanian league, are we really rating the Tanzanian league, at this point in time? I haven't really heard much or seen much, thing of how we're standing.
The Simba FC of this world, they have been a household name.
How far we've been, take a look at it in the past 2-3 years. Simba FC, that's of course been fantastic. So for me, I don't have much worry. I think possibly if they have been so courageous to pick teams, pick players, from their local teams, from the teams in the league, maybe they feel that yes, the league has grown enough to be able to challenge any side, as it stands. Don't forget, you're going to be competing with other countries where their players ply their trade in Europe, and all of that. So I think for me, for them to have come up with these players, possibly they feel that they have what it takes, of course, to contend. So we'll watch what Tanzania is going to do with this set of players in the African Cup of Nations.
All right, Tanzania have decided to go for local breed as bulk of their players are drawn from their clubs down there in Tanzania League, like Young African. These are very popular name in the African club of football. We talk of Simba FC as well. So more like towing the lane of South Africa, who has a bulk of their players, yes, for this AFCON drawn from the league out there in South Africa. The same case that cannot be said of Nigeria, because our leagues seem not to be having the best of time. Though one or two have been included in the provisional list released by Eric Chell a few days ago. But then I doubt if in the future, maybe 2-3 years time, we can have, bulk of the players in the Super Eagles drawn from the Nigerian League, looking at the way the league is going. All right, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, has introduced new regulations ahead of the 2025 African Cup of Nations, AFCON, in Morocco. These stipulations covers squad lists, logistics, and training as it concerns the participating teams. The regulations stipulation national teams must submit their final squad at least 10 days before the kickoff. Failure to do so attract the sum of a $10,000 fine. Only 18 players from each squad will be permitted to travel within cities for matches by plane, road, or train. Teams moving from Rabat to Casablanca will travel on match day morning, while those headed to other cities can move a day before. Nations expected to travel between cities during the group stage include Zimbabwe, South Africa, Angola, Tanzania, Tunisia, Uganda, Botswana, DR Congo, Benin, Mozambique, Cameroon, Gabon, Comoros, Mali, Zambia, Sudan, Burkina Faso, and Equatorial Guinea. No full training session at the match venue a day before the games. Teams may only visit and familiarize with the stadium between 2 p.m. and 9 p.m. pending CAF's approval. The tournament will be played between December 21st, 2025 to January 18th, 2026. All right, moving on this morning to other big stories in the world of sport. Star players such as Mo Salah, Brian Buemo, and Achraf Hakimi will be able to play for their clubs for an extra week until December 15 before joining their national teams at the African Cup of Nations. FIFA said on Wednesday our top European clubs such as Salah's Liverpool, Buemo's Manchester United, and Hakimi's Paris Saint-Germain face losing key players for up to 5 weeks for the 24 Nations tournament in Morocco from December 21st to January 18th. But they had feared it could be even longer until FIFA amended its rules to soften the blow for clubs by delaying the release dates by a week. The decision came after fruitful consultation led by FIFA with key stakeholders and thanks to the spirit of solidarity demonstrated by CAF to reduce the impact on various parties. FIFA said in a statement referring to the tournament organizers, the Confederation of African Football, CAF. So this would be a very, very cheering news for clubs, because we've seen during the African Cup of Nations Cup period, club complain they don't want to release their players early, as well as for these players to join their national team. But then I think they've been able to strike a balance between clubs and national team, and CAF were very instrumental to striking that balance. A good one for clubs in Europe.
The balance, talking about the date, I think FIFA talked about 15 December to a club, of course, to release the players. But for me, I think it's not a good one. When the club released the players 15th, and the tournament starts on the 21st. So how would the players gel?
Well, CAF knows this, and they agreed to this balancing.
It doesn't make sense.
And national teams are not complaining. We haven't heard of any national team come out to say, oh, this is not convenient with us. Unlike when they're going to, trouble, disagreement, national team will say, clubs don't want to release our players. They will now write to FIFA. Clubs will now also write to FIFA to complain, to say, oh, the timing is too far. Let us, hold to the players, because it is crucial moment. Taking a look at the time frame of the African Cup of Nations, it is always very difficult for teams in Europe, to release their, because it is a very sensitive period. December, January, this is where the league is almost won and lost by clubs in Europe.
Yeah, definitely, I understand, but for me, no matter what, players should be released on time. All right. If you're releasing players on the 15th and you have and the players, of course, maybe take 2 or 3 days to arrive camp, how would that help them to be able to have that chemistry in playing together? And I think for me, CAF should look into this. At least players should be released, let's say 10 days to the start of the tournament, so that they can come stay with the coaches, train and get themselves acclimatized before heading down to the African Cup of Nations. And you take a look at all of this, especially Super Eagles of Nigeria, we're still talking about provisional lists. We've not even gotten our main squad, for the tournament. So for me, I think that time frame is not really good at all. They should have given them more time for players, to come in and be able to get themselves, acclimatized before heading down to the African Cup of Nations. I'm not really comfortable with that time, for players, of course, to return for the African Cup of Nations.
All right, we see, but then in some days to come right now, maybe national teams will begin to, of course, raise their own concern. But then I believe the reason why they have not raised their concern is like maybe CAF, yes, consulted the national teams regarding this agreement before, of course, striking that deal with the World Governing Football Body. Maybe, just maybe, if we don't get any complaint from national teams in Africa, then we'll know that the matter has been sorted out, as they must have been duly consulted by CAF before reaching this agreement. But clubs in Europe, I can tell you, will be very, very happy for this particular one. There's only 2 clubs in the English Premier League that, will not face the challenge of having their players leave for the African Cup of Nations. Clubs like Chelsea and Arsenal. These are the 2 teams, yes, in the English Premier League that does not have any player going for the African Cup of Nations. All right, let's head straight to the English Premier League, because yesterday night Liverpool were held to 1-1 draw at home by Sunderland, leaving the champions struggling for consistency yet again. Liverpool's hope of turning the corner after Sunday's 2-0 win at West Ham United were dashed. Once again, Sunderland took the lead in the 67th minute when President Talby capitalized on a sloppy pass by Virgil van Dijk. A late effort from Floriwiz deflected off Nodi Mukele's leg and went into the corner to make it 1-1 as Liverpool struggle to pick points at home. Kingsley, the woes and the shaky start of Liverpool continues this season. And the question remains, is Ancelotti really that man that we thought he was?
He's not really the man. It's clear now. It's not really the man that we thought, of course, he was. Just like everyone has been saying, last season he was riding on the luck of on what Jurgen Klopp has already done at Liverpool, and now that there's been a little tweaking in the team, he's finding it difficult to implement his own style. It's finding it difficult to put the team in order, to be able to get the job done at this point in time. So, more like to say, Ancelotti is not that manager that can, of course, can take Liverpool to an incredible height. Possibly, I think the management might just give him this season and see where, of course, he will finish, at the end of the day. If he doesn't finish in a very comfortable position, they might let him go, taking a look at, of course, the struggle, we're seeing after spending a lot of money, as it stands. So for me, I don't think Ancelotti is that manager that can, of course, challenge in the Premier League. I can challenge the likes of Enzo Maresca, challenge the likes of Arteta and Pep Guardiola. I don't think he has what it takes, to challenge, these coaches. But let's just keep our fingers crossed. But it's been a struggling one for Liverpool Football Club. They really have to find solution at this point.
Liverpool need to find solution at this point as Ancelotti continues to struggle with his armies out there at Liverpool. But another disappointing outing for Chelsea Football Club as their inconsistency continues with a defeat away from home last night, where they suffered a 3-1 defeat in the hands of a struggling Leeds United. Meanwhile, other result that came through in the English Premier League, let me do it to serve you the full result. Arsenal, yes, beat Brentford 2-0 at the Emirates Stadium. Brighton and Hove Albion lost at home to Aston Villa 4-3. Burnley were beaten by Crystal Palace 1-0. Wolves lost at home to Nottingham Forest 1-0. Leeds, like I told you, beat Chelsea 3-1. Liverpool played 1-1 against Sunderland. There are some other big fixtures tonight as Manchester United, yes, will be in action against West Ham United. As, of course, in the La Liga, Kylian Mbappe scored twice to, of course, help Real Madrid move closer to the league leaders. Barca with just 1 point separating them right now, as Mbappe continues to, score goals for fun for Madrid. This is where we are tempted to drop the anchor for this morning edition of the show. We have a loaded package for you, but time is always a constraining factor. Never worry, 6 to 7 p.m. we will make a return to, of course, bring you yet another exciting and informative stories popping up from the world of sport. I did a show this morning alongside Kingsley Emmanuel. My name is Emmanuel Michael, the Prime Minister of the Airwaves. And we are saying goodbye.